Hello everybody, welcome back for another video. Hope that you're all doing well as you can be, and that you're all having a great day. As always, a free way to support the channel is by leaving a like, by commenting, or by subscribing if you are new here. All of these things do indeed help with the algorithm. And without further ado, let's jump right into it. I, as always, just woke up, so if I seem a little out of it, that's probably why. Usually when I wake up, one of the first things that I do is I check the cryptocurrency news. And guess what? To my surprise, it was another dramatic day in the cryptocurrency markets. It says a rough weekend for crypto traders is underway, with Bitcoin crashing more than 16% from $52,000 to $43,500 in the span of about 30 minutes. The top cryptocurrency bounced off the bottom and is now at $47,000 roughly, still around there even at the time of me making this video. It says Ethereum and the altcoin markets followed Bitcoin's sudden meltdown, with Ethereum sinking from 3,900 to a low of 3,400 in the same time frame. The collapse triggered $2.41 billion worth of liquidations across the entire cryptocurrency market, according to the firm CoinGlass. There's a lot going, and I mean there's a lot actually tying directly into this. We've had the idea for a number of years that eventually we would see any type of correlation between Bitcoin, the stock market, any other market that was relatively similar out there would completely detach as Bitcoin became older as time eventually went on. I don't think we're out of the woods for a very long time when it comes to that. I think a lot of people, and we know that a lot of people in the cryptocurrency market are actually people who were formerly on Wall Street. And I think that they also panic whenever they see that other markets are also panicking. And this is kind of where we are. While volatility is very prominent in the cryptocurrency space, there's no question about that. This type of movement is a clear indicator of heavy manipulation. This isn't anything new. We've gone over this for a very long time. I'm going to reiterate this for those of you who are relatively new here or even have been here for a year or two. The cryptocurrency market is very harsh. It's not easy, even for people who've been here for a very long time. I've had a lot of discussions with my friends about this, even before this moment right now. It's a lot. There's a lot weighing on everyone for the cryptocurrency market, what it could mean, to be realistic, how much money people could make. But a lot of movements like this do occur in the cryptocurrency market, and they are sometimes usually used to flush out smaller traders from the market. That's not me telling you to be strong and have diamond hands and diamond hearts and all that other kind of stuff. Like, if the market becomes too much for you, don't be afraid to step away for about 5 days from it, to not check prices, because checking it every single day can be a lot. I had to throw that in there because I need all of you to really understand that this is a very volatile market, and movements like this are not, even in the cryptocurrency market, they're quite rare. And when we've seen this happen before in the past, like the idea that any asset would drop by 16% in the matter of minutes is not normal. These were forced liquidations by very large whales in the market who are trying to get everyone, as many people as they can, out of the market, to have them panic, to have them rush out so that these coins can be purchased up at a lower amount for them. We are now at the point where a lot of people are having discussions, and it seems probable, no one knows for certain, that Bitcoin at some point in the future, no one knows when, could potentially be worth $1 million per coin. So there's trillions and hundreds of trillions of dollars potentially in the future at stake. I thought this movement was very interesting. For those of you who have been paying attention to the old charts, you may have definitely heard 2013 and 2017 are constantly being thrown back into the conversation. I've been saying it the entirety of this year. This entire year has been a mimic of 2017. The mimic being that at the end of the year, we would kind of have the crescendo. Things would go skyrocket as high as possible. And then eventually, at the beginning of January, early January, would potentially fall back down in price, as we've seen the last other year after the other halvings have taken place. Earlier in November, we had news from a guy named Raoul Pal. And it wasn't very popular news, but I think it's going to start to catch on right now because he is seemingly nose on, spot on. to this entire discussion. This was posted on the 1st of November without me actually having to read through the entire thing. His idea was, he said there are far too many people in the market now. He said it's no longer, 2017 was a very speculative year. 2013 was a very nerdy year, if I can say that. The only people who were really into Bitcoin in 2013 were people who knew how to code, who were like, hey, this is new internet money. Look how cool this is. It was 10 cents before, and now it's $300. Look how much money I've made. 2017, a lot of the big boys started getting into the market, 2018, 19, et cetera, et cetera. But he said, we are about 10x from where we previously were before, not price-wise, but people-wise. And he said any idea of an actual mega movement downward, once again, doesn't seem plausible, at least to him, because if anyone decided to sell some of their coins, they would quickly be snatched up. So any hyper drop that we would experience would quickly go away, as many more people in the market would simply say that's ridiculous. These coins are worth way too much and could potentially be worth more in the future. And therefore, let me buy up these coins. So his idea was that we would not top out at the end of this year. We would not see the final big movement. And then even more subsequently after that, there would not be a mega crash that would follow. We would simply see a big dip. A lot of people would assume that this was the mega downward movement, begin to sell off their coins, and we would simply once again start moving back up, as what we are now at the point where we have countries and banks and institutions openly announcing that they're doing these things. It's no longer them on the sidelines in 2014, 17, 18, buying up $1 million in secret or stuff like that. We now know that they're buying hundreds of millions of dollars, pushing billions of dollars into the market, and therefore, to end it, is that our market is way too big now for any type of mega crash to really last. It would simply be like a stock market movement downward, and we'd simply see a movement back up. His idea was that our market would, this is his idea, take the path of most pain, in that we would see subsequent dips of Bitcoin's price over and over, basically pushing as many people out of the market as humanly possible. And this is where we got the idea, maybe it says it somewhere around here. He thinks that this cycle won't actually end until somewhere between March and June. He's not a scientist. He can't predict or say the exact date of when things would happen. But he said it doesn't look like that we're actually finished at all. People are telling him, hey, only got a couple more weeks, and then things are going to really hit that high. And he's like, no, I think prices will continue to crash, hurting a lot of people in the market, and therefore we would move up afterwards. So this is why I said I think it's very fascinating. Time is a fascinating thing in the cryptocurrency market, because we always get tons of predictions. No matter where you turn, no matter where you look, every single day there's a new one. And this one didn't get a lot of attention because I think people didn't really want to believe that the other cycles or that the other patterns weren't correct. Like the entire year I've been telling you, if you match up all the news and even the dates and the time, we are basically on point of 2017, except for the end of November. After Thanksgiving, we should have seen a very strong movement upward, which we did for about 6 hours, and then we fell back down. We should also right now, if by 2017, 2013 logic, we should be pumping very hard in the market. No mistake about that. Alas, I think people will be looking more into this. I assume a lot of people will be listening to what Raoul Pal has to say over the next couple of weeks to see if he is actually correct. On top of that, there was a flash crash on Huobi. Flash crashes happen all the time. It usually gets blamed on software, or if too many people are selling off on one particular platform at a time. I'm sure we're going to get an exact reasoning as to why this happened on this particular website over the course of the next week or so. This always happens. It happens on Coinbase, it happens on Binance, it happens on Gemini. So it's not just one website where this is actually taking place. The usual interesting news that actually ends up happening when there is a flash crash on a platform is that someone at some point actually had a buy order at a certain number. So years ago, let's say even if for random numbers, if Bitcoin was at 40,000 and there was a flash crash to around $3,000, people had buy orders around 5,000, 4,000, and 3,000. So their buy orders were actually filled. So they got an entire Bitcoin for 5, 4, and 3,000. They don't happen as often as they used to. But when they do take place, people make a lot of money in the process. Yeah, so this is, of course, the major news of the day. There's no way actually around that. People are talking about that Bitcoin is on sale. It depends on how much you believe in the market. I've seen a lot of people over the last couple of months who are continuously saying in the comments section or other places, oh, I hope Bitcoin falls down a bit more. I want to buy up a lot more. And to that, I usually say, well, this is your moment. I hope you make the most of it and are getting the prices that you want. Of course, people are trying to figure out the reasons why this is taking place because it seems quite unorthodox. But if your eyes have been open for the last 2 years, you may notice that we are in very unorthodox times. The reasoning that I am currently seeing, even if you type in anything about price news, appears to be that tech stocks are falling. Why is this significant? Because a lot of people tend to group the cryptocurrency market in a tech section era kind of thing. We saw last year that tech stocks within the stock markets around the world, particularly the US markets, were kind of like the golden child of the market, in that while the rest of the world logically began to fall apart as we saw the effects of 19 taking place, for some reason tech stocks continued to pumping, and they were seen as this like brand new light in the market, and that they could never do wrong, they could never fall down, and the fact that they are falling down is a bit of a wake-up call to a lot of other people who once again are still riding the wave of this 12, 13 year bull run that we've been seeing in the stock market, which also isn't normal. Normally, historically, typically, it's around 7 to 8 years that there's a mega run-up in a stock market, whatever the case might actually be, and there's always a fall. It is not simply 1987. It is not simply 2001. You remember what happened in 2001. It is not simply 2008. There is always a 7 to 8 year period where we fall down. For some reason, that has not happened, and stocks are believed to also be incredibly overvalued. The idea that the Federal Reserve could begin tapering, i.e. not putting as much money into the stock market as they have been doing and have been promising that they would continue to do since the end of 2009, yes, not 2020, happened in 2009 as well, that they would continue putting money into the market, is also a very gigantic red flag. And for those of you who also haven't been looking at this, the TV, the screen, the news, completely understandable because the world is a mess right now. 19.5.0 is apparently also causing a lot of headaches within the world, and people are questioning exactly what is going to take place next. These are very big warranted fears, if you will. On top of that, keeping in mind, this is all happening within the last 24 hours. So this seems absolutely logical that if other markets are panicking and they happen to be falling, that cryptocurrency, as we are seen as not rightfully so, a very risky market, could also be receiving the back end of the stick. I don't know what I'm trying to say there, but you understand what I'm kind of implying. So also on top of that as well, which we spoke about and haven't really heard a lot about in the cryptocurrency market, but this is still major traditional financial news, is the potential collapse of Evergrande. Evergrande depends on which website that you're actually looking at. This is one of the largest, if not the largest, I believe, property management, construction, real estate companies within China. Part of the issue is that they basically came forward a couple of months ago and said, hey, we're broke. And that is beginning to bring forth fears that China could potentially be in some type of a property collapse, exodus, end of the boom kind of era, as China's entire market has been doing incredibly well since around 2000 to 2001. And I mean consistently. Normally, GDP goes up by 2, 3, 4, 5% per year. They've been going up by 12, 13, 14, 15%. Everyone has kind of looked to them as the next big authority on the planet, if you will, after the United States. However, for those of you who haven't really been paying, I think it's also, where is it? Like, actual attention to what's really been happening there, like actually happening. Over the last 10 years, there has been a dramatic rise in what is called ghost cities, ghost towns. You can find documentaries on it. If you have time, especially on the weekend, I would actually watch them. They're quite fascinating. The idea is that as the population of China continues to rise rapidly, there's been a huge surge in the amount of companies and the amount of efforts to build extra cities. Why? The idea is if this city becomes too expensive, people will begin to move outward and simply look for other towns. But we already have these towns built, and therefore they'll have a place to be able to move in immediately. There will be no need to simply tell these people, oh, hey, wait 5 years. No, they already have the towns. Part of the problem is there's no one moving to these towns. They've built entire replicas of like very popular cities that no one's inside of. And I mean, the only time that people are actually in them is when they go there with their drones or when they're walking around taking photos and going, wow, this entire town is empty. There's tons and tons and tons of them. Like this is beautiful, but no one lives in any of these places. They're actual ghost towns. So this is part of the real estate problem, is that too much was built on too much debt. No one's moving into these places or buying these places. So where do you get your money from? So the collapse of Evergrande or Evergrande could potentially signal that, hey, this economy isn't doing as great as we thought that it was going to do. For those of you who also didn't see this as well, the head of Evergrande was also basically summoned before the Chinese Parliament Council to be like, hey, what's going on? And if you've paid any attention to the news there in the last 20 years, they tend to not be, you don't simply get a slap on the wrist is basically the nicest way of putting it. So the news that 19 may once again cause problems potentially this winter into further times. The stock market may be falling. The thing that gave people hope in the stock market, tech stocks, are also falling. This all wraps up, and that's not even all of the issues. Like, these are the more prominent issues that are kind of in our face when it comes to what's happening in the world. Don't forget that a lot of countries around the world, just this year alone, is about 5 or 6. Their currency is garbage. They can't really do anything. There's discussions, you know. Anyway, so this basically, at least at the time of me making this video, seems to be the reasoning behind as to why cryptocurrency prices have fallen. And even then, the price was a bit too dramatic. I assume this was to get people out of the market who have leveraged positions, to force liquidations, to force people's hands in the market, to get them to sell. Because, once again, the rich people already own everything. And I assume that they also want to own all of the Bitcoin as well. Anyway, yeah, that's at the moment at least what we know. Just wanted to make a video to let you really understand that it wasn't random. There were actually other world events taking place, and they're quite significant ones. On top of that, to not be left out of the news, as they always do this every single time, El Salvador has once again purchased more Bitcoin. If you have missed the entire year-long party at this point, El Salvador has added Bitcoin as legal tender within their country. It is not the only legal currency. I believe the US dollar is still also legal currency within their country. But if you go to a supermarket and you choose to buy something, you can also do so in Bitcoin. It apparently is taking off. They've been giving Bitcoin to their citizens, etc., etc., etc. Every single time that we have seen a drop in Bitcoin's price, El Salvador makes it into the news, similar to MicroStrategy, Grayscale, yada, 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 and that they also announced that they have also purchased Bitcoin as well. So El Salvador has purchased another 150 Bitcoin, and they now have 1,270 Bitcoin worth $60 million at the time of writing. Also very popular news. I think it's, how do I say this? I think a lot of people like news like this. Me personally, I just assume that they're doing it in the background, but I guess it's nice that they're announcing how much Bitcoin that they own to be more transparent as an entire country owning Bitcoin. But I think people like this news because it shows that people who are in Bitcoin are still incredibly bullish in the market despite price drops. Yeah, like I said, I know it, believe me, I know it can be a lot. The market is very stressful. If at any point you need to step away for 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 days, don't feel ashamed. I'm not making a joke. I mean this in total honesty. I've told a lot of my friends as well. Stop looking at your phones. Go away from the market. If you are in this for the long term, you don't have to look at the prices every day. You can go and relax. We will, of course, be seeing exactly where the market goes over the next couple of days, because it is this market is unlike anything I've ever been in my entire life. Yeah. Despite prices going down, I do hope that you all enjoyed. I do hope that you find a way to have a good weekend. Go out, do something. It's cold in most parts of the world. If you can, go to a Christmas market. Go hang out with friends. I was going to say go have ice cream. That doesn't really make a lot of sense, especially right now. Go have hot chocolate somewhere. Find a cafe or a restaurant. I know it sounds a bit cheesy, but it's fun. Listen, go sit with your friends. Go joke, have fun. Do something that makes you... I know I've said this twice already, and I think people think I'm joking. Like, do something that makes you feel young again. Like, have the cryptocurrency market doesn't have to be the entire point of your life. Make sure that you also go outside, have fun as well. Watch a good movie, make hot cocoa at home. You know, whatever makes you feel good. Yeah. I do hope you all enjoyed. Hope you all are having a great day, a great morning, a great afternoon, a great evening. Wherever you are, wherever you might be. I know the market is ridiculous, but I do hope you all have a great one. Thank you all once again for watching and or listening, and I will most certainly be talking to you all soon. See